Out in the immensity of the plains here, the memorials come suddenly. The guns point west, immortalizing the Soviet defeat of the Wehrmacht. Another memorial, but foxholes of a war happening now. We've come south to where another front is opening up, an affront to the ceasefire, down on the shores of the Sea of Azov. Here on the beach, the lifeguard's hut is still in the colours of Ukraine, and yet we're only 3 miles from the frontier with Russia. Golden sand, not much bathing going on because the Sea of Azov is frozen. Yet there is evidence that this southern area will now be the next phase of the war. For some time now, rebel forces have been moving west, pounding locations as they go towards the strategically important steel and port city of Mariupol. And this is Mariupol. East of town, seething and steaming 24/7. A vast bank of blast furnaces dominates the skyline. 60,000 people work here. That's 3 times the workforce of the BBC on one immense site. Strategically and economically significant, doesn't quite capture the Mariupol experience. To the west, the deep water port, though the cranes are mostly idle now, the berths vacant. But between the port and the foundries, apparently normal, a town proud to produce a third of East Ukraine's wealth. Keeping up the appearance of normal life, but underneath there's real anxiety.
I try not to think what happens next because it's too frightening. We keep living and things are okay for now.
With every day there's less and less good news, so probably each person in Mariupol feels like something's going to happen. The front line is closer and closer to the city.
I really hope the ceasefire works. I don't care anymore if this is Russia or Ukraine. I just want peace and no more shooting.
Mariupol's divided. Pro-Russian rebels took its central streets briefly last summer with barricades. Then out came the steelworkers supporting Ukraine, and matters seemed to swing the other way. To the east of Mariupol, you can't openly film the Russian frontier, but Ukraine insists at least 2 Russian convoys of heavy armour crossed over just last weekend, heading west. On the edge of Mariupol itself, you can make out the shelling above the distant roar of the steel mills. At the city's cultural centre, a Mariupol commander says the rebels don't have enough men to surround the city. But he knows who he's up against, he says.
Our estimation is they have 3 categories of people: Russian military, those hired and managed by Russia, and to some extent local people who've become infected with separatism.
Out with the colonel, volunteer Ukrainian defence worker Victoria. She's handing out pictures of pro-Russian separatists.
We are expecting a battle because we understand that Putin has big plans to take all of Europe, and Ukraine is the testing ground. They want to take back all the countries that have broken away. They hate everything Western. That's something that should be understood and accepted. For them, democracy is hell, just like for us, Russia is hell.
Our time was short. You have to cross the lines again before sunset. But that night in Mariupol, some made their hatred plain. Burning in effigy the elected president of Ukraine, saying they'll kill him if he ever tries to come back over the border from Russia. Alex Thomson, Channel 4 News, Mariupol.